Let's touch a lot of bases. The first thing we keep hearing is you're going to announce in January, right? Or make some sort of decision by January.
Well, I'm going to announce whether or not I decide to run or whatever. And
what are you doing
I haven't
between
made
now?
that. I mean, all that's happening now is people are coming out with polls. It was sort of interesting. The one sort of negative poll I had was on Newsweek, and they put me on the cover. So I said, how could you write a poll? How could you do a poll like this? And I'm on the cover of Newsweek. And, you know, it was just one of those things. But the polls have been unbelievable. So I am going to form a presidential exploratory committee. I might as well announce that on your show. Everyone else does. But I'll be forming that, and effective, I believe, tomorrow. And we'll see. I mean, we're going to take a very good, strong look at it.
Well, that's pretty close. Most people who form exploratory committees, that's that major step toward going.
Well, it's a step.
Can you say it's a major step?
I don't think I can say it's a major step. I'm looking at it very seriously. I have a lot to lose, Larry. I mean, I'm the biggest developer in New York by far. I'm doing more, as you know, from being here a lot. I mean, I'm doing more than any. I'm building 90-story buildings all over the place. And we're just doing a lot, and we're doing great. I mean, the city's the hottest city, and I'm the biggest developer in the hottest city in the world right now. Other guys, you know, they run. Pat Buchanan, what is he, you know, he's not giving up anything. What's he doing? And politicians, when they run from one office to another. It's the same thing. They, you know, answer different calls. I'm giving up a lot if I decide to run. So we're going to look at it. We're going to explore it. We're doing the committee, and we'll see how it comes out.
And the committee's going to look into all areas, talk to people,
all areas,
financing.
But really, the big thing they're going to look at is can you win? Can a Reform Party candidate win? Because I believe I could get the Reform Party nomination. I don't even think it would be that tough. It's going to be Buchanan, and I think Buchanan just blew himself out with the book and his love affair with Adolf Hitler. I mean, you know, how he said this is beyond belief. But I really want to see if you get that nomination, what happens from there. If I couldn't win, if I felt I couldn't win, I wouldn't run. I absolutely would not run. I'm not looking to get more votes than any other independent candidate in history. I'd want to win. So we'll see, and we're doing studies.
So this exploratory committee we announced tonight starts tomorrow.
That will start tomorrow.
And the decision by sometime in
January, February, early part of
2-3 months in there, right?
I would say about that, yes, Larry.
Okay. Are you excited?
Well, I've never been inundated. You know, I've been somebody that, for better or worse, has always gotten a lot of press. I mean, I go back to the office after lunch or after an interview like this, which is an hour, and I'll have 40, 50, 60 calls from the biggest people in media wanting to do interviews. And you know, in the meantime, I'm running a very big business, and to run it well, you want to be running it. You want to be there. So I could do this all day long, but I just don't choose to do it.
Well, let's get into some things. The Reform Party, by its name, means reform. You will be leaving, if you run this, you believe in what? The Republican Party, I believe.
I'm a registered Republican. I'm a pretty conservative guy. I'm somewhat liberal on social issues, especially health care, etc. But I'd be leaving another party, and I've been close to that party.
Why would you leave the Republican Party?
I think that nobody's really hitting it right. The Democrats are too far left. I mean, Bill Bradley, this is seriously left. He's trying to come a little more center, but he's seriously left. The Republicans are too far right. And I don't think anybody's hitting the chord. Not the chord that I want to hear, and not the chord that other people want to hear. And I've seen it. Plus, I think there's a great lack of spirit in this country. What's happened over the last 4 years is disgusting, and I just think there's a tremendous lack of spirit, and I think the spirit has to be brought back.
And it'll come through a third party?
Well, I think maybe we have no choice, and I think that the third party and the Reform Party has done an amazing job, but it's a new party. It's very, very tough to get elected from the Reform Party. We know that. But it's a possibility, and we're going to look into it.
Do you give credit to Ross Perot in that area?
I give him a lot of credit. I think he'll go down. His legacy really will be the Reform Party, much more so than, you know, we make money. He makes money, I make money. We make a lot of money, but the legacy that he's created, the Reform Party, is a great tribute to him, and I think he'll go down, and I think he'll be given great credit for it.
Pat Buchanan said he agreed with Warren Beatty. I wonder if you do. Warren Beatty said, we don't have a three-party system. We have a one-party system. We need a second party. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't think so. I think that...
You don't think the Republicans
I
and Democrats
I don't
are
think
alike?
so. I think that their views are different, somewhat different, but they're maybe almost too divergent. If you really know the real Bill Bradley or the real Gore, you're really talking about a very, very liberal cast of characters. And I think that the Republicans are more conservative.
Is George W. Bush a real conservative?
I think he's getting toward the middle. I think he's done a good job in sort of distancing himself from some of the radical views in the party. And I think he's doing all right.
You've been an activist Republican, haven't you? I mean, you support candidates.
I've actually been an activist Democrat and Republican. I support almost equally. I really support people. I support people like Senator Torricelli, who's fantastic from New Jersey, and I support, on the other hand, Rudy Giuliani, who's been the best mayor in the history of the city of New York, or George Pataki, who's been just a terrific governor and a great guy. You know, I just support people.
The person.
I really go for the people rather than the party.
Donald Trump announcing tonight the formation tomorrow of a committee to look into the possibility of his running for the presidency of the United States. We'll be back with lots more. Don't go away. We're back with Donald Trump. We're going to be all over the board tonight talking about lots of issues as he announces the formation of exploratory committee to possibly seek the candidacy of the Reform Party. Do you have a vice presidential candidate in mind?
Well, I really haven't gotten quite there yet.
It's just
Oprah. I love Oprah. Oprah would always be my first choice.
Oprah.
Oprah, your competitor, right?
Oprah's competitor.
You know what?
No
I'll tell you, she's really a great woman, though. She is a terrific woman. She's somebody that's very special. I have not even thought about it. I guess we'll see. We'll see. Maybe that's part of the whole process.
Would she be someone, I mean, kidding aside, that you might think about?
If she'd do it, she'd be fantastic. I mean, she's popular, she's brilliant, she's a wonderful woman. I mean, if she'd ever do it, I don't know that she'd ever do it. She's got,
you'd ask her.
She'd be sort of like me. I mean, I have a lot of things going, she's got a lot of things going.
What a ticket
in terms that would be a pretty good ticket, but she's a very exceptional woman.
What makes a good president?
Well, I think the leadership qualities. You know, the sad part about President Clinton, who I happen to like a lot, but he could have had a great presidency if the whole thing with Monica and Paula Jones, and the worst of all is, you know, Linda Tripp. I mean, this woman, where she came from, I have no idea, but this is the woman from hell.
But he didn't have anything to do with Linda Tripp.
No, he didn't, but she always seems to surface, and she's just became a part of the administration.
But can't you say, in all honesty, as Reagan asked when running against Carter, haven't you done better under Clinton?
Well,
Donald Trump,
you know what,
the truth
is that Rubin and Alan Greenspan and, you know, those appointments
were terrific. It's on his watch.
And it is on his watch. And the sad part is, and what I'm saying is that he could have gone down as a really very good and maybe
you'll admit you
president.
have done well, and the country's done well.
I have done well, and the country's done well from an economic standpoint. There's no question about that. And now you're going to see what happens over the next period of a year, because, you know, when the election takes place, if things aren't doing well, Larry, your Reform Party candidate has a major chance of doing something major.
Why,
so you have to see what happens.
Why does Gore inherit this character question?
Well, Gore is a man that I've said before is a very underrated man. But if he keeps going the way he's going, which has been terrible, he's no longer going to be underrated.
What's he doing wrong?
Nobody knows. It's just, I think he's relying on too many people. I think he probably raised too much money, and therefore it's being taken away by too many different consultants. I mean, everybody's got a piece of him. If he'd just go back to being the regular guy that he was, I think he'd do. I mean, he got to be vice president of the United States by being Gore. And now, all of a sudden, you have 15 people tugging on his shoulders and taking money from his various contributions. I mean, if he spent $20 million, I've spent exactly $20 million less. And
what do you want in a president? You said, okay, Clinton could have been a great president, not for the character issue, and you're saying the character issue...
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, Ronald Reagan, to me, was a great president. And whether you're liberal or you're conservative, people really view him as a great president. He'll go down as a great president, not so much for the things he did, just there was a demeanor to him and a spirit that the country had under Ronald Reagan that was really phenomenal. And you know, there was just a style and a class, and that's a big part of being president. I mean, that's a really big part of being president. Ronald Reagan had it. Eisenhower, now, Eisenhower, I don't see him too much on lists of great presidents, but there was a nice time in the country. The country had a prestige, and he had a certain, you know, demeanor. He was a quality class act. There are certain people that have that. Unfortunately, with all of the scandal in the last 4 years, and what's happening with Gore is he's really tainted by it, and he's probably the last one to be involved in that kind of a scandal. But he's still tainted by it. It's a tough
fair
problem.
or unfair, it's a fact.
Well, I mean, if he were really on his game, he'd get one of his senator friends to go and run against Bradley and him so that you could divide up the anti-Clinton/Gore vote, and he'd get in very easily.
Get somebody else.
At least he'd get the nomination.
Strategy.
Well, no, it has to be strategy, because it's not that Bradley's good. Bradley's not great. I know Bradley very well from New Jersey. I think I'm the largest employer in the state of New Jersey, and I know Senator Bradley. And, you know, he was going to be thrown out of office. This guy was not going to be reelected. And then he made the statement that I'm going not to run, and the Senate is a terrible place, and everybody in the Senate said, it wasn't that he didn't want to run. The guy was going to lose. He was going to lose badly.
Well, Perot told us back in '92 the kind of president he would be if elected, that he would be decisive, he would be uninterested in pomposity, he would be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. These are things he would do. He didn't like, not a big ribbon cutter. What kind of president would Donald Trump be?
Well, again, all those things are fine, but, you know, again, you go back to Reagan, and there is a certain pomposity and there was a certain ribbon-cutting stature that is important for the president. I think that the whole style and look of him was just really...
Are you saying that's the kind of person you want to be?
Well, I don't say that, and I don't like to be compared to anybody, and maybe it would be unfair to them, to be honest with you, but the president has to be a great leader, and you have to lead by example. But you need leadership in this country, and we're just not having it right now. And this is going to be Gore's problem, because he is very much associated with 4 very ugly years, despite an economy. I mean, if you had a bad economy at this point, it would be a disaster out there. But you do have the one thing, you have a good economy.
We'll be back with lots more of Donald Trump. Don't go away. State. Hillary's here. They're going to move to New York. You live here. They're going to run. Did they get a good deal on that house?
I mean, they really got ripped on the house. The house
Ripped?
is right next to one of my golf courses. And, you know, I just wish I could have maybe represented him in buying the house and her, because I think I could have saved him about $600,000 or $700,000.
That much they owe?
They really paid a high price. It's good for the neighborhood and it's good for the area and everything else, but they really overpaid for the house. One of my people who actually runs my golf course, which is literally a couple of minutes away from where they're living, came up and said, why did they pay so much for that house?
That was the asking price, right? $1 million.
Yeah, well, the asking price doesn't mean that's what you pay.
I know.
I mean, the asking price could be a lot different from what you end up paying.
Why is it not?
I really wish I could have represented them on the purchase of that house.
Only you, Don.
I will tell you, their representatives did a very bad job. Very bad.
Did they get good financing, at least?
Well, the financing looked good. Somebody was going to put up the money, but I see that fell through.
What do you make of the Hillary Giuliani? I know you're a big fan of Giuliani, but...
I am, and I like her very much, but I think Rudy, and as I said before, he's been the greatest mayor in the history of the city of New York. The city is the hottest place in the world, and that's why, you know, I'm so honored to be doing so well and to be the biggest developer in the city, but he really helped the city, and he's been a great mayor, and maybe some people don't like him, and some people love him totally. I happen to be in love because the guy, not because I love Rudy, because he's done an incredible job. And I think it would be unfair if somebody did that kind of a great job and then for the next office got rejected.
So if you're on the Reform Party ballot, Trump, Winfrey, whatever, whoever is, you're on the Reform Party ballot in New York, you would publicly endorse Giuliani.
Well, he's the best. I mean, he's just done a great job.
How can a Reform Party president lead when nobody in the House or Senate is in his party?
Well, maybe I'll have to go around and hire some of the lobbyists that I use already in Washington. They've done a very good job for me. I think I could probably do very well.
No,
you know,
you
I'm a very big
together.
contributor, by the way. I'm a very big contributor to the various people and over the years. Never did I think my contributions would go toward helping me getting votes as president, okay?
So are you saying you could bring them together?
I think I could bring them together.
Call up the congressman who you contributed
Excuse me,
to.
I've been friends with these guys for years, most of them. I mean, I know so many of them, and so many of the senators.
You contributed to their campaign?
I've contributed. I think I'm like the largest or one of the largest contributors. I'm maxed out every year.
So as president, you could pick up the phone on a health bill and say, Senator so-and-so, remember
Larry,
I gave you?
I've been dealing with these people for years.
No, I mean, is that part of the
And I
game?
haven't done so badly with them. I mean, in all fairness, you know, they're wonderful people as far as I'm concerned. I've done very nicely. And I've been dealing with them for years, and I would be able to bring them together. I have no doubt about that.
Patients' Bill of Rights. You mentioned health care as one of the social issues. You for it?
I think you have to have, and again, I said I'm conservative. Generally speaking, I'm conservative, and even very conservative. But I'm quite liberal and getting much more liberal on health care and other things. I really say, what's the purpose of a country if you're not going to have defense and health care? If you can't take care of your sick in the country, forget it. It's all over. I mean, it's no good. So I'm very liberal when it comes to health care. I believe in universal health care. I believe in whatever it takes to make people well and better.
So you believe, then, it's an entitlement of birth?
I think it is. It's an entitlement to this country, and too bad the world can't be, you know, in this country. But the fact is, it's an entitlement to this country if we're going to have a great country.
So you'd be for this measure currently?
I am before whatever it takes. We have the money. The fact is that the world is ripping off this country. Germany is ripping us off big league. Saudi Arabia is ripping us off big league. France, I mean, they're the worst team player I've ever seen in my life. You look at what's happened. Japan for years. I mean, we're like a whipping post for Japan.
But you can't, as president, run again. I mean, you can't be aloof.
No.
From
What
them.
you can do is you can negotiate fair trade agreements so that instead of billions and billions of dollars going out, you can reduce your taxes by having it come back in, You know, I know the best negotiators. I would put the right people in charge of negotiation. We've been ripped as a country by virtually every country we do business
You
with.
shared Mr. Perot and Mr. Buchanan and Mr. Nader's belief with regard to NAFTA, right? You were an opponent of NAFTA.
I am, and the reason NAFTA looks okay now is because the economy is strong. But when the economy is not strong, which unfortunately will at some point happen, NAFTA is going to look like a disaster.
And are you as much of an isolationist in that area as Buchanan is? That we
I'm not an isolationist. What I am, though, is I think that you have to be treated fairly by other countries. If other countries aren't going to treat you fairly, Larry, I think that those countries should suffer the consequences.
So this isn't fair trade. Free trade isn't fair trade.
No, no. Free trade is a wonderful thing, and I believe in free trade. But at the same time, it's got to be fair trade. You look at some of these, I mean, look what Japan does with the cars and the subsidies and everything else. And look at Korea with the ships and the subsidies they give. I mean, it's very unfair to this country. What is happening throughout the world in a business sense is very unfair. We could reduce taxes and take care of health care, and it would be beautiful, and you'd have plenty of money left over.
Talk about honesty in the presidency with Donald Trump right after this. Donald Trump, honesty. Carter once said, "I'll never lie to you." Would you say that to the American people?
I would never lie. And I just, you know, one of the things that people do get if I ever decide to do this, which is really who knows, but they've known me for a long time. I've been really a public figure for a long time. I mean, I think everything is known about me. I mean, it's...
Yes, I would say.
Interesting. I've been out there a long time.
So but you could definitely say, I would not lie.
I would not lie. I would absolutely not lie. And, you know, Carter, who's a very nice man who I've gotten to know a little bit. I mean, I think he was much better after the presidency than he was during the presidency.
A great former president.
He was a great former president.
He is,
but, and he really was. He's done a wonderful job after the presidency. I'm not sure I agreed with him at all during the presidency, to be totally honest. But he was an honest guy, and in that sense, I think we had a man who, at least we said, pretty honest guy.
Do you think being in gaming could hurt you?
No, I own casinos. I'm the largest, by far the largest person in Atlantic City, which is actually doing more business now than the entire Las Vegas Strip.